This is reading response number 8 for visual culture theories and pedagogy, um, AEAH 5773, the spring 2021 semester. It's a lot to get through. So for this week, the texts that we read were by Paul Duncum, excuse me. Um, the first one being visual culture, art, education, why, what, and how. And the second one being visual culture, development, definition, and direction for art education. And please excuse my washer and dryer in the background. Hopefully you can hear me over that. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer the first question. So I have my questions on my phone, I have the text on my laptop, and I'm recording on my tablet, and I have my notes written down. So you'll likely see me looking in multiple directions. So question number 1. Today's particular image culture is characterized by deathless and self-referential images, more concerned with the surface than substance, and more with play than significance. Paul Duncum explains today's visual culture landscape in these terms and makes references to Jameson and Plato. Do you agree or disagree with the description of how today's image culture is depthless and self-referential? Depthless, I don't know why I can't say that today. Are you the side who sees it as described above, or do you agree with others see today's visual culture as offering people a new freedom of expression involving a knowing willingness to play at their own games of significance or signification? Okay, so this question was a lot. I'll start with just that last piece. I do feel like that is what visual culture in the hands of the citizens is. So it is like ultimate self-expression, a new freedom involving, people playing by their own rules. I feel like absolutely on an individual level, on the level of the citizen and not mass media. That is what visual culture is. But when it comes to mass media, I understand visual culture as a means to control, and so controlling the narrative, controlling how people internalize information or images, so on and so forth. So that's how I see visual culture in the hands of the mass media. So that's where I would say I definitely agree with Duncum saying that. Let me pull the quote back up. Saying that it's very surface. There's no depth, and that I wrote personally that it's trash and it's propaganda. Because again, for me, for my understanding, in my opinion, the idea is to control. So when we see these tropes or these character archetypes that we're so familiar with, that is the attempt to control the narrative and to create these like these false or these surface identities that people, particularly young people, right, like teenagers who are consuming this in mass, kind of take on these false identities. So, yeah, I just wrote that in a perfect world, visual culture would be, at a large scale, it would be a true representation of people from different backgrounds and different cultures and celebrating the human experience and human beings. But this isn't a perfect world just yet. So I'm just trying to make sure I cover everything. And then I wrote down where he talks about the loop of references. So that just made me think about like the character archetypes or just the tropes that I mentioned just moments before, and how there's just like you're constantly bombarded with these images from every direction, and it's the same message everywhere you look, whether it's a commercial or a TV program or a fashion ad, what have you, a song, lyrics in a song, like all of these communications, all of these images, like they're just a regurgitation of the same thing. So we'll go to question 2 on that note. So question 2 reads, today more than ever, visual images are accompanied by other forms of representations that appeal to sensory modes other than sight. Have you ever experienced, or do you believe that enhancing art education is possible through other forms of communication reliant on multiliteracies and or multimodalities? So I do believe that learning with multimodalities can be enriching and effective. Though I have little experience with this myself, I do see the opportunity for like really cool, interactive, and like I said before, enriching lessons. I've done this kind of in my ELA courses, during our poetry units. I have an assignment or an activity where I have students, and this is like a common thing. It's not anything that I made up, but where students make visual poems. So they accompany their poem with images, or and music if they choose to. Some students may choose just images, and they'll have to write an explanation, kind of just a blurb, kind of explaining what their poem was meant to express, or what message they were trying to put out there. But beyond that, I haven't really, definitely haven't done it within my art classroom. And I can't really think of any classes that I've taken, because at this point, grade school just seems like a blur to me. I'm sure that at some point, because I vaguely remember having lessons where we have music happening, we have images happening, we have text that we have to read. So I do kind of remember that, but not in detail, not to where I could really speak to the experience, besides that I likely enjoyed it, because I'm one of those all over the place kind of kids. So I wrote here that I do see it being something really fun to try in an art class, or especially if you can do it right. Thinking about working with textures and different materials, incorporating like the touch and sound possibly. So I do feel like it's a fun moment of exploration for art classrooms, considering multi-modalities in the curriculum or in the lesson. So question number three. Question number three was it was tough for me because I'm not sure if I understand the question, so I'll go ahead and read it. In analyzing the aliens in such films, he does not draw upon the history of the fantastic in art, but the tendency to make other people of different races. From my understanding of the context, given that these people are inspired by weird or creepy physical features of minority groups to create science fiction creatures such as aliens, would you, and if so, how would you describe the negative aspects of visual culture with the context of CRT? So, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I want to go back to the text really quick here. Because I didn't see where it states that give me how much time? I have 8 minutes. Okay. I'm gonna do a quick search. Yeah, so I guess the creepy and weird physical features of minority groups threw me off in this question, because that wasn't part of the text, and I'm just like, where did that come from? What I will say to answer this question is that firstly, minority features are in no way creepy or weird, and this is an example of how visual culture, especially in the hands of people who are irresponsible or have motives to depict certain groups in certain ways, can be very dangerous, and this is where the CRT comes in, because again, there's nothing inherently weird or creepy about the people's features. When you take those features and you create otherworldly or extraterrestrial beings inspired by those features, that's when it becomes, it's labeled weird or creepy, because for a person who may have never seen these features on a human before, if your first time seeing these features are on like some weird and creepy sci-fi alien that was created from the imagination of some person, then when you see someone who actually has the features that this was based on, now you're categorizing their very real, very human features as weird and otherworldly, or it's alien to you, because that's your first your first and only understanding of what you're seeing. So I'm not sure. Maybe I read the question wrong. Um, if not, then that would be my answer. Because, like I said before, mass media, like its main MO is to control, and we know systems of racism are just that. They are systems, and so it doesn't stop at, of course, that includes your media, that includes your movies, your entertainment. So with that being said, if the goal is to keep certain groups empowered, is to keep white supremacy active and thriving, then a way to do that is to make people believe that minority groups are inferior in some way, or non-human, and so that's what, I'm not sure if that's what is being described in the text. I do feel like that's where he was going in the text, but then coming to the question, everything kind of came full circle from the text to how that question was worded to what the answer is. So bless. Let's go to question number 4. I have 3 minutes left. So question number 4 reads, following Deleuze and Guattari's, hopefully I'm saying that right, distinction between tree-like structures and rhizome, he argues that whereas art education is like a tree with roots, a trunk, and branches, visual culture is like a rhizome. A paradigm example of rhizomes is grass, where a continually growing complex underground system puts out lateral shoots or roots or tubers at intervals. Rhizomes also work on the principles of multiplicity and rupture, where a connection might be made to any other thing, and even where a connection is broken, the rhizomatic structure will rebound time and time again with new developments along old lines or the creation of new lines. According to this article, how can you define rhizomatic visual culture within art education curriculum? Okay, that was a mouthful. So I kind of just jotted down that trees are organized, but rhizomes are these like random complex systems with multiple contributors, multiple contributors. I really like the part where he said that there's a throng of dialects that kind of just shined a light on just how complex and all the different perspectives is where I'm trying to get to. So I thought that was really cool, just thinking about the different perspectives and schools of thought. And then I wrote new developments alongside old ones as the system makes, breaks, and remakes itself. So I thought that was a great metaphor, or a great example of what visual culture is in art, or how it can work in art, how it works in art education. So yeah, I am at the end of my time. Thank you very much.